Welcome back to our Canaries Walk. The question we're asking this week is, the jury now out on Hoff Thorup. Where are we at and where are we going? The season's now officially over. 4 to play, but not much to play for. We've got Killian, Jacob, Oliver and Matty back with us to give their final verdict on the manager. Thank you very much for joining us. We're also looking back on the Burnley game and we're asking the team to pick their player of the season. So stay tuned for that at the end. Who gets it in your opinion? Let us know in the comments. Right, let's kick this off then, shall we, Killian? I've read a few different tweets about the Burnley game, especially the manager. He got it wrong. Some people are saying the result has to be on him. And some people are saying maybe a change is needed in the summer. We're not entertaining that view. But did he get the Burnley game wrong?
I think certainly in the first half he did, yeah. I mean, I think he went very cautious. It was like parking the bus. Like to have 5 at the back and then 2 holding midfielders. Like it was no recognised striker. It was a strange setup. It backfired. I think though the second half, when things were switched up a bit, we played a lot better.
The tweets are found, and Norwich Pure says, even if there's fitness issues, JHC got that all wrong. Look at how better we were in our actual system. If we played the first half like a league game and not a free hit in the cup, we might have got a half-decent result. Jacob, do you agree?
Yeah, I think the team we put out wasn't the best. 5 at the back. You know, you're playing defensive football against a very attacking team, which is smart, but we can't defend, can we? Many defensive errors in the first half, and obviously one of them led to a goal. But I think playing Sargent on the bench was a bit of a mistake. I know he's trying to keep him fit, obviously, if he does go in the summer, but it just didn't really work out. I think the second half we looked much more sharp with that second half goal. But yeah, I think we should have stuck to the second team half in the first half, which looked much better.
Okay. Cheers for that, Jacob. Let's have a look at some more, Oliver. Nod says, I'm not angry, but I just want to see the players that'll be here next year now. F off the results and just treat it as an extended pre-season. Lee says, Torrents at the wheel, but F me, we concede so many goals. Oliver, what do you want to see happen in the next 4 games? Do you want to see the shackles taken off and some experiment?
Oh, you mute yourself, Mark.
I didn't press anything. Right, and Oliver's got... we've got 2 Olivers.
No, go out from just there, just kick me out for that.
Oh my God! Right.
Yeah.
Cheers for that, Jacob. Oliver, let's have a look at another one, shall we? Nod says, not angry, but just want to see the players that will be here next season. F off the results now, just treat it as an extended pre-season. Lee says, Torts at the wheel, but F me, we concede so many goals. Oliver, what do you want to see now in the final 4 games? Do you want implementation? Do you want to see some new players brought in? What do we want to see?
Yeah, I would like to see some new players brought in that are going to play sort of more next season. I quite like the look of I didn't mind seeing McConville starting. I think he's one that we could definitely see into next season. But I think just kind of getting that structure now, definitely defensively for next season, I think is really important for the last couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a look at them, Matty, I mean, Portsmouth, I mean, you can have a big say, actually, in a lot of things that happen, Norwich. Unfortunately, probably not involving yourself. Portsmouth visit, then trips to Millwall and Middlesbrough, which will ultimately decide who gets that 6th spot. And then you could relegate Cardiff on the final day. Sorry, with my mic there. I'm not pressing anything, I promise. How do you see things going, Matty? Do you even care? Do you want to see some? What do you want to see?
No, I do really care. I think the fans need to see some decent, like that second half against Burnley. The fans need to see decent performances to just so that people don't really lose interest in the project and the head coach at the moment. I'm also kind of. It's interesting. You sort of look at these next 4 games where, okay, now there's nothing riding on it. But had we beaten Burnley, Portsmouth's winnable. Millwall would be tricky, but you often get a team that goes on a late run, and we could have actually made it interesting for ourselves. When you think about the fact that we've got Portsmouth and Cardiff to play at home, it might have meant something. Now, the fact it doesn't mean anything. I want to see players that want to play for the shirt and want to be a part of it next season. You've got a lot of players that are out of contract. players that you're thinking, okay, did we bring them back on loan? You just want to see a bit of passion. And to Oliver's point about some of the younger players coming through, it would be, I think, he might be unfortunately injured, but the likes of Mahove or Oliver's mentioned McConville, some of those players that are going to be around next season, it'd be great to see them get given a chance and get given regular minutes.
Okay. Some other takes here, Killian. Rob says, we're likely to finish 14th, maybe 15th, after for spending a fortune on players. It's a process or not, to the young players for the future or not. No Norwich manager in history has survived a season like we are having now. JHT is a great talker, but I doubt he can walk the walk. Now, I know you're fully behind the manager, and rightfully so, but where do you think the fan base is in terms of a percentage of fans saying, look, I don't think he's right for us versus let's give him a chance? Are we seeing a shift to a more kind of 50-50 split?
There's definitely a shift. I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I mean, I think I saw some comment on social there the other day, somebody reminding a fan that they said the same thing about Farke. Obviously, people are being watched what they say about different managers and reminded of it. So there is definitely a shift, but I still think that the majority are behind him. It's been a tough season with injuries, no question.
Yeah, we have to take that into consideration, don't we? Jacob, this one says, Ryan says, I'm probably going to get stick for this, but I can understand the defensive stance we took tonight. We played open, expansive. It would have been 4 or 5-0. It's just a shame it's our own mistakes that cost us, but it was still a better performance that gives me hope. I really don't understand the head loss from some of our fans. You jump on board with that point, Jacob?
Kind of. I mean, there's been a lot of negativity around the first half, obviously, but second half just goes to show what we can do if we stick to our plans with your Hoff Thorup, sorry. But yeah, I agree with it to an extent, but yeah.
Right then, Oliver, the jury has been out on him all season, but it's time to kind of push you. He's obviously going to stay for next season, but how many more years does he get of this? Where's he got to finish next season for fans to accept this project?
Next season, I think we just really need to be pushing for playoffs. I mean, as usual, but I think we need to see more consistency. There's been times this season where his style of play has really been implemented, but others where it's just kind of capitulated, really. I think if he gets that balance right, we can definitely do well next season. But saying that, if we have another season like this next year, I think probably he will leave because, he's come in. We know it's a project, but next season it really needs to kind of click for us.
Cheers for all of you, Matty. Just finally on this topic, I mean, some Norwich fans I've read are kind of saying, look, this league this season is so poor, the quality of it. If you'd have just had some consistency yourself, Norwich could easily have been in those playoffs this season. Do you agree with that? Do you think the frustration from fans is because you have seen just actually there's not really too much in this league in terms of teams to get excited about? There's not real depth of quality.
No, I would agree that I think the Championship for a few seasons has been poor, to be fair. The last 3 seasons, I don't think it's been the league that it was. I think that's partially to do with the fact that the 3 that go up come back down, and that's kind of going to be the case, isn't it, forevermore, probably. But that's by the by. I think in terms of this season where Norwich are concerned, I think the biggest frustration is that the injuries that we've had and the suspensions and the fact that, I sound like a broken record, I said it a few weeks ago, is that how many times has Hoff Thorup had what would be his starting 11 to choose from this season? It's minimal. It's very, very rare that we've had what Hoff Thorup or the fans or a happy medium of both would sit down and say, yeah, that's our starting 11. And he's been dealt a tough card with injuries and suspensions. So there are signs. There are very positive signs. It's just, like you say, the consistency, ironing out the naivety. And again, I think that comes with, bringing I think we had the oldest squad we'd had at the start of last season, and certainly in one of the oldest in the league, to now being the second youngest, I think, on average. So that says a lot as well. We've brought in a lot of new players who are new to the league, some of which are new to the country, and it takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on from the Burnley game, I just want to look at the stats from it, Killian, if that's all right, because our Leeds fans were throwing this back at Burnley You won't be able to read this, but the stats from the game, were all in Norwich's favour. An expected XG of 1.39, 55% possession, 12 shots in total, 2 of them on target, 3 big chances, same number of corner kicks, 87% passes to. When you look at that and look at the game in total, does it just highlight to you it was an opportunity missed?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, we've let in some very silly goals this season, and there's been times, especially away from home, where we just haven't been scoring. And I think we've been trying to create the perfect chance. And I would love to see them try and just take a few more shots. Just, you can see the lack of confidence in some of the players. They're trying to almost run the ball into the net.
Yeah.
And I think people like Borja Sainz, for example, who's, super, still, I think, the top scorer in the league. You could see even that he's not shooting as he was. So, there's a little bit off the boil.
I feel bad then asking you all this next question about the player of the season, but we are going to choose now. We've been here talking 36 weeks or so, so I think there's a good enough time as any to ask you to pick out your player of the season. Killian, we'll start with you. I think you've been to every home game and nearly every away game, isn't it?
Nearly every game this season, yeah. I'd give it to Kellen Fisher. I think he's come up man of the match a good few times now. I know our defence has been ropey, but I think he's done particularly well, and we've played him in different positions and out of position. And I think he always gives it his best and his hardest. So that'll be my call.
Okay, Jacob.
I have to go for Josh Sargent, really. He's saved us many times this season, and we've been really reliant on him as well. That Swansea game is he scored 2 goals, which we were looking really bad in the first half, and then he comes on, scores 2 goals. Just shows how much we needed him. And without him and Borja Sainz, obviously, we'd be in a relegation, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, Josh Sargent for me.
Okay. Oliver.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Borja Sainz. Just, it was magic. That November sort of period, just banging them in. He was really sort of rejuvenated, sort of best winger in the league for a bit. He has dropped off a bit, but those couple of months where he was on form, he was top.
Okay. And May.
George Long. No. I'd have to go Sarge, because I know he's not played again another season where he's had injury troubles and he's not played every game. But to Jacob's point, we need him. We miss him when he's not there. And he's pivotal to what we do in terms of scoring goals. I know Borja scored a hell of a lot of goals early on in the season, but for me, it's been his inconsistency and his petulance. And, you think about players that we maybe keep or don't have to sell, but are going to maybe sell in the summer. I'd much rather we sell Sainz than Sargent, because Sargent's pivotal to us going forward and scoring goals next season. So for his impact and how we've looked, or how we haven't looked, I suppose, without him, for me, it'd be Sargent, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with any of those. And finally, we're also awarding the player of the championship, the whole league. And we're asking you to do this based on 2 rules. 1, you're not allowed to pick a Norwich player. And 2, you're going to pick a player that you've seen yourselves play against Norwich that you've been particularly impressed with, whether that be defensively or from an attacking point of view. Let's start with Oliver. On this one, who's the best player in the championship that you've seen against Norwich?
Well, I thought when we played Middlesbrough, Ben Doak was sort of levels above. I was really quite impressed with him. Pacey little winger, sort of had both our fullbacks on the ropes. I'm not too sure how he's done other than against Norwich, but yeah, he was really impressive against us.
Yeah, very highly rated. Cheers, Matty.
Yeah, Doak, that's a great shot actually. When we got a lone player that wasn't Doak, I was a bit gutted that we hadn't got him. So he's a great shout. Not necessarily for his performances. I know I'm going against a question mark, but not necessarily for his performance against Norwich specifically. But just whenever I've seen Man or Solomon at Leeds, he's really got me out of my seat or on the edge of my seat. He's quick, he's direct, he's skillful, he's got goals in him. And he put Leeds ahead, I think, at the weekend. But so I think it would be him. Just he looks. I know he's a Premier League player on loan, so he does look that level above to use Oliver's phrase. But he's been the one. Whenever Leeds are on TV, I'll watch it and I'll And I'll see him and I'm thinking, I wish we had Man or Solomon.
Jacob?
Might be a weird take, but I'm going to go Harrison Burrows, because when we played Sheffield United away, I think he was exceptional on that day, scored 2 goals. First goal did come from a bit of a mistake, but really he was a great player throughout the whole game, kept Sheffield United in it, kept them in form. So I'm going Harrison Burrows.
Okay. And Killian?
Well, one of the things I think for us this season, and obviously we talked about our defence, I don't think any of our goalkeepers have been particularly inspiring. And I know it's maybe slightly recency bias, but I'm going to go for James Trafford. I think his record for Burnley in goal has been phenomenal, and he looked really comfortable on Friday night, like a defender. I think it's a phenomenal season.
All right. Good stuff. Right. Yes, well, we're going to keep going. We're not going to throw in the towel just yet. I mean, mathematically, could you still make it? I'm just looking at the table now. Mathematically, it's not done, is it?
Don't give us that sort of hope, Mark. We just need to stop thinking about it now, and then we can relax.
Okay.
Mathematically, we could be relegated.
No, we'll definitely stay up.
Okay. 12th. Let's go 12th. Okay. It needs to be a top half finish. It's got feel weird Norwich finishing anything below 13th.
But we did in Farker's first season. We finished 14th, and that's what I'm pinning my hope on for next season. Okay, so let's leave it on a positive slanter.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the other side of this Easter doubleheader in 7 days' time. Have a good one.